So here she is.
Absolutely incredible. This is your brand new Superleggera V4. I mean, how cool is this, Mark?
I cannot put into words just how excited I am. But it's not just the delivery of the bike and seeing the bike. As I said, I had the wonderful opportunity to visit the factory in Bologna on the 2nd of February, just before it went to the press. Yeah. And I had the most incredible tour. I met the people that build this bike, that have designed this bike, that have designed the paint, that have designed every aspect of this, and saw with my own eyes just how Ducati works on something like this. So I was lucky enough to see this product, if you can call it that, in February, and it's somehow it's even more beautiful now.
So what was that tipping point? Because I know that you were mulling it over and there was the idea about this bike and you kind of heard about it in the ether, and then was it the trip to Bologna where you saw the naked chassis and you were holding the swing arm in your hands, or was it before then? Was it something like, no, it's going to happen anyway?
I have Ducatis. To me, it's, for want of a better term, it's the sexiest bike ever built. From the early years, I remember when I was a kid riding a 250 Desmo 350, that was unobtainium to me. Yeah. I couldn't afford to have those bikes. And as I got older and I've worked through the years, I've had other motorcycles. I have British motorcycles and old British motorcycles. But there's a thing about a Ducati to me which is it's the pinnacle of a race bike for the road, the spirit of racing, the spirit of freedom in that way of riding. And I've been very lucky to have bikes from different generations of the great Ducatis. I just recently got a 916 SPS, the Tamburini bike, which I think without that there wouldn't be this. Without the bikes that we see here, it was such a codifying moment. And those are the bikes that we had posters of on our walls when we were kids. That was the thing. And then I'm lucky enough. I have all three Superleggeras. The 14 is an amazing bike to ride, and the limitations of it being, it was as far as the technology could go at the time. And then to have the 17 Superleggera and see just how much more went into it. The changed carbon fiber wheels, the idea that carbon fiber wheels could replace magnesium and be reliable and work really well. And then to see the generations change. I have a V4S, and the first time I rode that, as I said, I rode into a long sweeping corner, and I'm used to the idea of being able to use understeer to pull myself out of a corner. Yeah. And I discovered what a backward rotating crank will actually do. It's just the most incredible technology, but not in a technological state, in a truly visceral, tangible, beautiful machine. And what's incredible is you own one. Doesn't matter which one you own. You own one. You're in one. It's part of you. It's a truly incredible experience to ride a Ducati. And when this came up, I was like, how could I not? It's not for everyone. It's a very expensive bike, but I think for what it is, it is, over the generations of Superleggeras, it's comparably priced to the other Superleggeras when they came out. But the work that has gone into this, the amount of effort that Ducati has put into every single part, it's hard to see on camera, but the work in the unidirectional carbon fiber, the molding work, the paint, everything about this bike is so special. And to me it points to a pinnacle of where Ducati is at this point with Superbike, with what's happening in GP, and it also points to what's going to happen for the future, which I think is incredible.
I think that point that you were talking about, the visceral experience, is really an important part of our DNA. I mean, it is clearly a differentiator, because obviously there's a lot of incredible motorcycles out there in the world.
Absolutely.
But you can increase technology, and sometimes when you do that by adding electronics or improving the performance of the motor, you sometimes anesthetize the experience. And this, when you hop on a Ducati, and I don't care if it's Scrambler 62 right. 400 or even going all the way up to the Superleggera V4.
I've ridden them all.
And that DNA is consistent, and it's that connection of that throttle to your soul and the bike. I mean, you are, like you said, you are one with it. And Some people they don't mind that, or it's not important to them. That's okay. There's other motorcycles, but for people that are truly passionate about the riding and the experience, and clearly you are, considering what you've ridden in the past and what you ride today, and this is the tip of that. It's the very tip.
When you go to the factory and you meet the engineers and you meet the designers and you see the passion that they have for the brand, for the ethos, for the idea of Ducati, because you know the fact that Ducati is always something special. There will always be something special from any of the eras, and to see the amount of effort and love that actually goes into why this is shaped this way, why this is built this way, and they are riders' machines. They're not just technological pieces that go faster or do, you know, better electronics or whatever. They are truly bonded to you as a human being when you ride it. It's an incredible thing. What I will say as well, I mean, I have other Ducati bikes. I love my Multistrada. My Multistrada is my favorite bike to ride on a daily basis. But the generational change of electronics over the years, I think Ducati's been very, very careful not to intrude, but to assist.
Yes.
And it can make a good rider a better rider.
Yep.
It can make a good rider a safer rider. Because there are variables, of course, when we ride, certainly if we ride road, but for track, there is nothing built quite like this. It's just extraordinary.
So you asked us to help you get number 19. What's the significance behind this number here?
Well,
you're one of the first 3 in the country, and it just happens to be because you chose number 19, it came in that way.
It did. Yes, one of my sons had 19 as a soccer jersey for a long time, and it just seems like a great number. It's just I don't know. It rings right.
Okay.
You know, it's part of 916. It's part of, you know, all the great motors that I've loved, and it just felt like the right number to me. I mean, honestly, I would have taken, you know, 499 or 132. Truly, I would have been happy with any. But getting to choose a number, I have a Foggy, which is my wife's birthday. So some of those things are quite personal, but quite wonderful. But honestly, it could say. It could have letters on it for all I care in that context. It is just such an extraordinary machine. And to see again the evolution of the dash and the electronics and how the bike talks to you. I took the Foggy onto a rolling road over at Rottweiler, and I was doing 195 miles an hour while operating a computer in 6th gear as I hit red line. Had 198 horsepower to the rear wheel. I mean, and the smoothness and the simplicity, and yet the tangible feel, and you can feel the power in every single part of the bike. It's an extraordinary experience. The suspensions have changed so much in the last 3 years. This, you know, titanium springed Öhlins is extraordinary, but to see angles have changed, the lengthening of swing arm, I'm fascinated to see how this rides at speed compared to the other bikes that I have.
I mean, definitely it's a different experience, not just because of the aerodynamics, but the chassis setup and everything has been tuned, and the entire electronic suite actually has been fine-tuned considering the overall reduction of weight. Because, you know, when this bike is in, let's say, track form, track trim, you're talking 335 pounds and 234 horsepower. So of course the electronics need to be completely revised when that's considered.
But you've also gone to a fascinating idea of customizing and making those that can use that power and want to use that power able to truly customize their experience per track. There are almost track maps in there to a point. And the ability to customize every one of the settings is just extraordinary. Yet again, not intrusive, assisting, which is fantastic.
So I heard that this is not going in a living room.
No.
Is that right?
I'm riding it.
That's what I want to hear.
I'm riding it.
So, I mean, one of these things, so many people think when there's bikes like this get bought that it just becomes a work of art.
And for some, and it is a work of art. It is a work of art.
But not just. It's a work of art that you get the chance to experience, and actually not just in the beauty, but actually it's more than just that visual experience.
You can't meet the people that build this and not ride it.
It doesn't do it justice. I appreciate that.
It's a beautiful thing, and it will be ridden. Maybe not as well as it should be, but I will get better and better and better with it. But it is a beautiful thing. It's a dream machine. I'm not as car oriented as a person. My bikes are more personal to me, and this is a true achievement, I think, in my life.
Yeah.
To be able to have this is just magic. I want to thank Ducati, both North America and Italy, and of course Ducati Newport Beach, for facilitating me in being able to get this. It's just an extraordinary thing. I mean, the wings, to see the GP16 technology on a bike that's probably better than the GP16 bike in a lot of ways.
In terms of its aerodynamics,
Yeah.
it's unquestionably better than what these guys run today.
Yeah.
I mean, because of those limitations. I mean, for us, Ducati, representing Ducati North America and Ducati Global, it's an honor to be able to deliver this bike to you and to deliver it with Ducati Newport Beach, and actually to somebody that's so passionate not only about motorcycling,
Absolutely.
but Ducati specific. So really,
It's
Mark,
beautiful. It's beautiful.
it's an honor.
Thank you so much,
My
Jason.
pleasure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see you out on the road on it.
Oh, yeah. You'll hear me.
I know. Cheers.
Thank you so much.